Last orders at the bar!
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, how you doing? Cheers,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome back to Open Bar Last Orders. It's good to have you all here watching this recording of our epic evening together.
Yep.
And my God, Mauler, temper your enthusiasm.
I mean, I haven't got any alcohol with me. How could I be enthusiastic?
Sorry, I'll drink for both of us anyway. But
That's kind of you.
yeah, well, I'm always willing to take one for the team on that score. But here we are, and we've got a bunch of super chats that we weren't able to answer on the night. So how about we just dive right into that and see if we can answer them for people? Alrighty, let's see what I've got here. The first one is from Magic Window, who says, if you were in charge of Disney, what would you do? I'd shoot myself immediately.
It's time to decanonize.
Yeah.
Let's go with a flamethrower on all their IPs.
Jailer Krend, I have no problem with the girl playing Hermione. She looks like Hermione. Not the Hermione that I remember from the books. I can say this now, actually, because I started reading the Harry Potter books. So,
oh my god.
She's described as having bushy hair, and I think she's got like buck teeth or something, or like prominent teeth. Anyway, this girl doesn't really look like that, but I don't have anything against her or anything necessarily. She's just not as described in the novels. It says Papa do does not look like Snape. Either way, I'm going to watch it. I mean, good on you for watching it. So yeah, keep supporting the corporate slop, I guess.
Yay.
What are they hoping to achieve with this TV show, Mauler? Help me out here.
Do you mean other than what they usually are, which is just, money?
Retain the rights?
Sure,
yeah. You got to make something every 10 years or so just to keep the movie rights?
I mean, it's maybe I'm off the mark here, but I just figure it's probably a smart thing to do. Harry Potter is known to do pretty well. There's plenty of new generations to involve. It's like, it could very well be a super successful show, I guess. I don't know. Like, I could totally see them thinking that, at least.
I can see them thinking that as well. Whether they can do that, that's another question. James Moore says, is it Craig Mazin or Craig Mazin?
I say Mazin, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take you as being correct. So Craig Mazin, as much credit for Last of Us Season 2 as Druckmann. It's clear a lot of bad changes are from him as much as Druckmann. Absolutely terrible.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I don't know what the balance of power there is, so it would be speculation on my part. I just know that the end product was fucking garbage. So, whoever wants to take credit for it, have at it.
Yeah.
Master of Puppets, watch Person of Interest for a good AI villain. I should indeed.
All right, yeah.
Hollywood's accountant. For the love of God, people, please go to the theaters. Buy multiple tickets. I know these movies are slop, but I'm about to lose my house, and this time, not to a wildfire. Also, check out AJ or Luke Caverns on Joe Rogan Experience. There you go. I'm not going to go and buy tickets for a shit movie that I don't want to watch, though. I'm sorry. They need to do better, Senator.
Agreed.
Shaker Silver. Mauler about to make a diss track on Welsh. Or in Welsh. I would love to see that.
Not?
Oscar, do you think there's hope for The Last of Us Season 3? Nope. It will be focused on Abby. She had the best sequences in the game, and Caitlin Dever is a great actress capable of carrying a show.
She had the best sequences in the game, did she?
Yeah, didn't you like it when she was scared of heights, but she still went across that crane, Mauler?
I don't remember liking fucking any part of that game except the Joel flashbacks, so... maybe.
I mean, she. What else did she do in that? She saved that Lev guy, or girl, or whatever you want to call him.
I'm trying. It was a long campaign. I just, It was stuff to do with the Seraphite people, the bold people. I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember being miserable. That's all.
I think she's probably more watchable than Ellie. I think Caitlin Dever is a better actress, and she's probably more capable of carrying a season than Bella Ramsey is. But like everyone hates the character, so
there will be more characters. She may have more interactions with what's the leader of the WLF guy?
Oh, Isaac.
Who's I don't know why I'm forgetting the actor's name, but he's got a lot of presence, so he could maybe make up for
He's got the chops. He's definitely got the chops.
Indeed. So we'll see. There's going to be a bigger cast of characters to work with. They're going to be in warfare with the Seraphite people. So season 3 could theoretically be more entertaining, but it ain't going to be good.
Yeah. Mega Spidey Man. Who do you think was a better spy, Ethan Hunt or your favorite James Bond? I mean, they're both terrible fucking spies. Like, if they were ever to try and be spies in real life, like, they get caught within about 2 minutes. But, yeah, James Bond. He's cooler. Right, okay. Reno the Turk. Don't oppress the Welsh. Protect the Mall. Oppressive like Brendan Gleeson. There you go.
Oh, no.
Protect them all. Master of Puppets. Have you ever been excited for a new show and before you finish the first episode, you know it's going to be shit? For me, it was Wheel of Time, as it's the only... it's one of my favorite book series ever.
100% yes. Well, okay, wait. So, like, to know exactly which one I was excited for and then it went to shit is one thing. I just meant I'm assuming you're the same drinker, but you can even tell from, like, just 10 minutes of listening to dialogue, you'd be like, uh-oh, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of one that I was genuinely excited for, and it was just terrible right off the bat. I mean,
that's a bit harder to answer.
Yeah, I think we all knew that like Rings of Power was going to be garbage before it came out. So
Arcane season 2, I think, would be my answer.
Did you get that right off the bat though with with episode 1?
It was in sweet old denial. So, but like, I still think we were in less denial than most people because the way it worked was I watched it with Rags, Fringy, and Nutzer, and we completed episode 1. We were like, all right, episode 2, let's go, you know. And then episode 2, by the time we finished the first arc, which is 3 episodes, we were all just quiet, like, like, well, we all realized very quickly. It's like that is a bad sign, and it's like when you have such good faith for because we're the kind of people that think like Arcane season 1 was like a 9 out of 10. It's fucking fantastic. So
yeah,
seeing that at the beginning of season 1, it was like maybe we're making a mistake here. You know, maybe we're misunderstanding something. Oh, maybe the dialogue isn't bad. It's just that it's going to make sense once you see more episodes. That's it. That's
misunderstood.
Literally, yeah. Which, you know, I think sometimes you can be like that could be true. Things can. I always felt that about Andor season 1, that the first 3 episodes on their own were a little like, I'm not sure about that. But when I'd seen the whole season and watched them in retrospect, I realized everything they were doing. I was like, oh, that goes there, this for that. That was it. Okay, I gotcha. Like, is perfectly normal as an experience. So it's always possible, but you know, Arcade season 2, upon rewatching, I was like, oh fuck, this is just awful. We're in so much trouble. No, please, I wanted it to be good.
Crewkid says everything surrounding the absolute zombie shit that is Last of Us Part 2 proves that Amy Hennig is 500 quintillion times the writer that Neil Druckmann ever was, and it shows. Yep, she was definitely the glue holding those games together. Same with the Uncharted series, actually. Apparently, she got pushed out for Uncharted 4, and that's why it was pretty shitty. There you go. Yeah. Lazarus says, is George the new Boogie? As in George R.R. Martin. Just praying for death.
Oh, because I was going to say, what way are we talking about here? Because, baby.
Yeah. They're both equally fat, actually. It'd be interesting to see them have a fight. Accident Seller says, Gary, talk Mr. H into watching Mobland, please. I mean, he should watch it.
Everybody into watching it.
Yeah. Daval also says Mobland is great. Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren really chew the scenery and are so good in the show. It's nice to get the rare, solid show aside from Andor. It does happen. Every once in a while it happens.
That's how I would rate Mobland, is just, oh, what a nice, reliable bit of television that you can just be entertained by. There you go. We need more of those.
Steelink says, Mauler, is Welsh taught in schools in Wales? Also, do you speak Welsh? And if so, could you give some brief thoughts on your opinion of Andor in Welsh?
Right, so the first one, yes, Welsh is taught in schools. How effective that is debatable. It's you'll find, at least in my experience, most students are just not that interested because we're so familiar with English. All of media is in English. All of famous culture is in English, so you're pretty comfortable with it. A lot of kids are just like, I don't want to learn a language that isn't applicable enough. But then you have plenty of people who, culturally speaking, find it extremely important, which, to be fair, it very much is. Language is one of the key identifiers of any given unique culture, that the death of it is, it's just everything else follows. And I know that a lot of Welsh people feel very uncomfortable with the fact that the Welsh language has basically been erased, or at least majority of it, along with different other cultural elements. So it's really just down to the individual, how much do you take from that. But the schools are trying somewhat to keep it going. As for reviewing Andor in Welsh, no, I'm terrible with language in general, as in, we were taught Welsh, French, and I think a bit of German, and none of it stuck for me. I just couldn't do it. My brain did not compatible at all. Does not compute. Every last thing I was ever taught in any of those lessons, it just went straight out of my head. I couldn't keep a hold of it. And I don't know what that is exactly. Everyone's different, you know. There are some subjects I really was invested in, like biology or English language, funnily enough, which is a language. but like
It is, yeah, reliably.
You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it's a language course because it's the standard, it's the basic. So the course itself, or rather the lessons, would have just been more about like speaking and writing better in English, and then looking at the history of English and why we do it. We had a lesson. It wasn't a teacher I liked very much, but it was shocking. She was like, today, and this is obviously once we were old enough for this, she's like, we're going to learn about the word fuck. Like, what? And she put it on the board, and we were like, what is happening? And she was like, do you know how many permutations of fuck there are, and how valid it is to use in like almost every sentence in every way? We were just like, man, school's weird. Like, you know,
that's what happened. Like, teacher was having a bad day, I guess. It's like, I'm just going to bring this to my lesson.
It was. I remember it being a good lesson. The broad point was just, how language evolves over time. She even went over like where it came from, why it started up, what swear words do, and stuff. You know, it's all stuff that I found really interesting. But then turned to French. It's like, je m'appelle, and I'm just like, I can't. What's aliens? I'd rather I'm just going to doodle little stick men killing each other.
I think we can establish from this that everyone should just speak English. It's the sensible way.
Might solve some communication problems, but holy shit, everyone would be so angry about losing all the languages. You're like, sorry, we probably end up speaking Mandarin, right? That's the dominant language, isn't it? Or is
I mean, if you're gonna base it on number of people who speak it, could be, yeah. I think the advantage for English is like it's the international language of business, travel, aviation, all that stuff. Like it's all communicated through English. So yeah, you know, it's hard to upset that. Thankfully.
What was your favorite subject, Drinker?
What, in the whole of school?
Sure, if you had one.
I actually did really enjoy English because, like, particularly towards the end of high school, I was really getting into that point of being interested in writing and storytelling and stuff. And so, like, actually, you know, it wasn't just like I'm there to do the what I'm told. Like, I was actually interested in pursuing knowledge in it and like learning more and stuff. And so I was lucky enough that I had a couple of really good teachers for it, and they were really instructive, and I really enjoyed that. So this is probably my favorite, I would say.
It's one of my favorites, along with history and biology. They were my faves.
History was good fun, yeah.
Didn't like chemistry or geography or French. I keep picking on. But, yeah.
Geography, I didn't mind. I found that pretty interesting. I did physics rather than chemistry, but that's like really heavy on maths, which I'm not too hot on. I don't particularly find that interesting. So physics was a little bit kind of dull. I'm just trying to think of anything else that we did. Computing, like that was, that really clicked for me, and that's kind of what I went to in my career before I was in, a writer, and before I did YouTube and stuff. I studied computer science, and then went on to uni and did like information technology. So I find that really interesting. But it was kind of like I was almost pursuing it, one, because it was kind of like I just liked technology and computers and stuff, and two, I thought, this is probably like a more valid thing to have a career in rather than English, and just try and be like a what can you do with an English degree? It's like, well, I can either be a writer or I can be an English teacher. That's pretty much it.
Dude, our IT course, we were in the middle of like directly in the middle of a 2-week sort of big exam tests series of things to just complete the course, and our fucking teacher had a heart attack and died.
Oh shit! Really?
And they had no way
Jesus.
of, like, there was like a substitute, quote unquote, who had no idea what a computer was, and they were just like, do you guys know what you're doing? And we were like, not really. As in, like, we don't know what happens next. We've done the latest thing, and it's just like, okay. And I think they had to opt to give us like an averaged out score or something on that particular, and we were just like, wow.
Yeah.
Fucking,
did you guys
guy-
do prelims like for your exams? Was
Oh,
that a thing
man.
in Wales?
Prelims being exactly what?
So it's kind of like it's almost like a trial run for your exams that you do maybe like halfway through the year. And so say you get like an A in your prelim, right? And then you do the final exam and you get like a C, they could probably, you can sort
I
of
think-
appeal it, and they'd be like, well, you know, you did really well in the prelim. Maybe we can raise you up to a B- or something because of that.
think
the
we
idea
had
behind it.
something like that. That sounds familiar. It's just been so long, even though it's been less long than it has been for you. But yeah, the thing about that teacher, and it sucked, is that he, just I'm trying to make a point here. He's a white guy, but he was like fucking blood red, very fat, and
Right.
every time if you had work to do and you had to stay behind, every single time like the bell rang for the end of the day, you'd be like, okay, who wants a chippy? That's all. You'd be like, make sure you do your work, but you can have a chippy if you want. And I was just like, oh shit, man. Like, I don't know how much longer you've got left.
Please don't have any more chippies.
Well, it was the kind of thing where when they told us, not many people were shocked. It was more of a like, oh, well.
You were kind of like, I'm surprised he made it this far, if I'm honest.
A little bit. He was quite old as well. It's just like, but it's still sad. It's just guys don't have too many chippies, okay?
Yeah. I mean, did you like overall? Did you enjoy high school? Because I always find it interesting talking to people about that. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, I couldn't wait to leave. I fucking hated it."
Mixed bag. I mainly loved the interacting with friends, playing games, and then some subjects. But like it was hell in the sense of like I fucking hated homework. I hated the subjects that I just couldn't get my head around. And then the pressure of being like, your whole life will be ruined if you don't do this properly. And it's like,
it's like I'm like 17. Jesus, give me a break.
Yeah. Well, because we had, that was like the DS being super popular around that era, and so a whole bunch of friends had it. We were playing like Mario Kart DS synced up and shit. It was fun as hell. It was like an infection, dude. Like it spread around the whole school. Everyone wanted to play because this is like and the funny thing is teachers didn't understand it, so they'd just be like, "Get off your Nintendos! Stop playing Nintendos! You should be working." And we're all like, "Okay."
It's so funny, like in my day in high school, like if you wanted to play like multiplayer, you'd have to like take your PlayStation run to your mate's house with a link cable and a fucking spare TV. Like, so basically you need like a trailer to carry all this stuff with you, and that's how it was done.
That's why this was so incredibly popular. You only needed one person with the game, and then they played remote play on DS, which basically clones the game to other people temporarily.
Right.
So they can all play it together. That's why I mean, like, it spread like a fucking infection because everybody who had a DS could play it. And then a bunch of fucking rich kids would be like, I've got a few spare DSs. It's just like, okay.
Assholes.
Well, you tolerate them to use them.
No, I liked high school, actually. I must admit, like, my overall experience was pretty positive. Like, some of the friends that I made there, like, I'm still friends with to this day. Like, most of my, like, long-term friends were from high school rather than uni. And, I just like I enjoyed most of my subjects generally. Like I got on pretty well with the teachers, and I liked it. I was probably in like middle of the pack, in terms of like how I did academically and stuff. And I think like I had plenty of friends in high school, but not like probably wasn't in like the coolest groups or anything. But like for me, I was like kind of happy with it.
Oh, I certainly wasn't. I would be in like the nerd playing video games and loving media group, which we still weren't on the lowest totem pole sort of area. There was still like chess type people who would be. And the thing is, I was 6 foot by the time I was 12.
Jesus.
My dad was just like outraged because I'd grown past him so quickly. He was just like, okay, I'm fine. But that just meant that bullying me was a little difficult. So, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
Yay, video games.
It was kind of a similar situation. It's weird, though, like, I don't know if it changed by your sort of time in school, because you were like 10 years after me, but yeah, certainly when I was there, like, it was still kind of not taboo, but like, you probably didn't make a big deal out of like being into geeky stuff back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess if you wanted to fit in more, because like fucking high school is always about like conforming and just fitting in and stuff. Like, you don't really get that individuality till you get like beyond it, like maybe uni or just out into the world, and you kind of know yourself a bit better. But certainly back then, I just remember like I didn't talk to many people about like being into things like Star Trek and stuff, because most people just weren't, or maybe they all were, they just never like said it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just remember it was like you were like a closeted nerd back then. At least I was. Anyway, like that, whoever asked us that question certainly got his money's worth. We went on like a 10-minute tangent just talking about our life stories there.
Absolutely.
John Doe says, really get to catch one of these streams live. Just dropped in to say thank you for countless hours of entertainment. Open bar, EFAP, and FNT helped me get through the day. Cheers from Poland. Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Deval says, Clarkson's farm, brilliant. Really shows how bad the red tape is. Yeah, fuck yeah. Plus, Clarkson is so entertaining, you could watch him do anything. It is a great, fun, heartwarming, wholesome show, I think. And I've gained a lot of respect for the work that farmers have to do just to get through the day. It's good stuff. I really like it. And if anything, it made me hate government even more than I did before. Yeah. These guys are fucking assholes. Residue says, The Last of Us is the greatest story ever told in this medium. Craig Mazin actually said this about the games. Anyway, love from New Zealand. Keep up the great work. Yeah.
How would he know? Like, how many games does he actually... I never believe them anyway, but dude, it lives rent-free in my fucking head, that comment that the guy who's going to be show running God of War, assuming he still is, the adaptation was like, yeah, I couldn't quite get the hang of a controller, so I didn't play it. It's just like, oh.
We're fucked.
Yep.
Adam Twomley says, finishing A Song of Ice and Fire is the only thing that brings me joy. George R.R. Tipples. So true.
Mm-hmm.
Grassroots Hegemon says, it's a shame for me because I didn't read the books until everyone complained about the show, but I want to know about Jamie and Euron. Well, you'll be waiting a long time for the answer to that then.
Yeah.
Gotus Thessaly says, unrelated, but I was wondering, do you guys know when Saints and Sinners will ship? Just ordered my cover a bit ago. So the campaign ends at the end of July, I think, and then it's probably going to ship Q3. That's what it says on the site anyway. I think that's the plan.
I think they've said on streams, if this is not a guarantee, but it could be as early as like days before it's even finished the campaign that shipping could start in theory. That there's just a lot of back end stuff to complete. So there's not a strict promise on exactly how early it could be, but it does seem promising.
Yeah. Cannon Folderall, Drinker, 1944, saw the first big screen version of Captain America in Republic Pictures' 15-part film serial. First Marvel character in movies. Cheers. That's very cool, if so. Yeah, that's pretty neat. I suppose it would make sense, actually, for Captain America to be shown during World War II. I mean, it's like, he's literally there to fight Nazis, so cool.
Yeah.
Zeddy Boy says, Mark, innocent people don't run. Well, he was in a rush, okay. Chemster Peace says, have Brandon Sanderson write the novels like with Robert Jordan, then have another person with balls finish it with Martin's dark flair. I don't know what they'll ever do. Like, you've got to think, like, the publishing house has a contingency in place. Like, it's almost like the wheels are just ready to be set in motion when he dies. It's like, okay, activate plan B, go, go, go.
Well, I mean, it's infinitely dark, kind of, that he knows that everyone is kind of either waiting for him to finish or waiting for him to die. There's no really in between. It's just like they want the story. So get fucking moving, old man.
Either die or write. One of the two.
Pretty much. Shit will get off the pot, right?
Yeah.
Get going.
Will says, a great writer can write a character that's smarter than they are. The problem is that most genius characters are now being given to terrible writers. Very, very true.
I think that's a fair comment in the, you might not be, say you wouldn't know enough about, I don't know, fucking quantum physics, but as a writer, you can get the materials needed to have them say the right thing at the right time, and then
Yeah.
leave it there, so that everyone's like, "Oh wow, he's a genius with quantum physics," and you're like, "Yeah,
Sure I am. Yeah. Just don't
Yeah.
ask me any specific questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
Bass player says, let's make this official. Gary, how many days has it been since John was left for dead? Aren't we up at like the, I don't know,
He's-
like 10,000 or something?
It's
at
something
this point?
ridiculous." Gary does have it somewhere.
Dragon Balls D says, hope J.J. Abrams hires Bella Ramsey to play GLaDOS in the Portal movies so that we can hear her say, I'm a potato. I mean, you
That
never
is a
know.
GLaDOS quote.
Yeah.
I'm
Black
a
Cane.
potato.
The two greatest Scots on the internet, you all should meet at Greyfriars Church to see who number one is like proper Scotsman. We'll go for it, yeah. It's probably easier for me to get to than him, actually. He's based in Glasgow. Grassroots Hegemon says, I cry blood for cheesy, cringe horror movies because they aren't longer than the fucking Ottoman Empire. I mean, that is pretty fair.
The one thing about seeing crappy horror movies is that, it's not going to waste... Well, I say it's not going to waste your time. You know what I mean? Like,
Not going to waste too much of your time, yeah.
Yeah.
I miss 90-minute movies. It's just great.
Mm-hmm.
Eatman says, you have to pick a wife to make kids. Ramsey's head on Sydney Sweeney's body or Sydney's head on Bella's body. If you're married, then it's a wife for your son. I'm going to make you answer this one, Mauler. I refuse.
I
mean, could you put a bag on the head or...
I'm trying. I mean, it's just such a strange question because he's like, how does that work out long term? What ends up having the most effect, positive or negative? And it's like, well, I think I'll go with Sydney's body.
You'd have to look at that face though, because you can't keep a bag on her head all the time. You'd have to do something like you'd have to
all the time. Like you could, there's the cool down. Like
give it like you could give her like Mando's helmet or something, and just imagine.
Cool.
But then it's like, so when she has to eat or something, just like make her turn away. I think you can make that work, possibly.
There you go.
Yes, it's a tough one. You asked the difficult questions, sir. Right. Hikira says, am I seeing this right, that Mark did Wolverine Enemy of the State? I really enjoyed that comic back in the day. I mean,
he's done a lot.
He'd know his career better than I would, but yeah, let's go with yes. Reverend Woodrow says, Gunn gave me something beautiful, The Guardians of the Galaxy. I love those films. I hope the energy continues. I mean, we all hope so. I'm not sure it's going to. Andrew Valdez, I saw the live-action Lilo and Stitch, and it's genuinely one of the most vile things I think I've seen in a long time. It's getting all the money.
I agree with you, humble viewer, and if you want to hear people rant about it for 11 and a half hours, you're in luck with the latest EFAP episode.
Starbucks Meg, hail to the panel. It's impressive how I've gone from excited for more Last of Us post-season 1 to not caring at all, let alone for 2 more seasons. I know, I've progressed beyond that. I am actively, unhappy about the prospect of this getting more seasons.
Fucking insane, dude. 2 more seasons. Ugh.
Laird Poland. Where are we getting a Luther Manning Deathlock movie? And if the Impossible Man isn't in the Fantastic Four movie, it's sure to flop. I mean, I have no idea. I know fuck all about that. Johnny Skinwalker. One day I want to see Max Fleischer Superman cartoons on the big screen as live action. It's on par with the Chris Reeve movies to me. Touched with Fire. I agree with the man with the accent about the new Superman movie. Narrows it down for sure.
I think we all have an accent.
Yeah. Snacks says, just double for crypto footage with audio from Rags. I think he's perfectly placed, yeah.
All right.
Blue Collar Loser. Remember, people really crapped on Cavill at first. Did they? Why?
I don't remember that, but maybe. I just don't remember it.
I mean, it's hard to imagine an actor who looks like Superman more than he does, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Shaker Silver, skeptical as I am on Supes, it's tiring to see people look for the worst. Less said of someone's irrational grudge for Gunn, the better. Mm.
Well, I don't feel
Well.
like I have an irrational grudge with him. He's earned it. So
It's a rational grudge.
yeah.
Methalus says, hey, it's me again. Do you remember Blarg yet? My avatar should help. Yes, we all remember Blarg.
Of course, yes.
Fucking me and him were tight in university, man. I just lost touch with him since then. What can I say?
Shame.
Confucius. I thought I'd remember Mr. H from his voice, and then I watched his monster breakdown of Zygote. Drinker and Mauler, you might like that. Sci-fi horror short from Oat Studios, Neil Blomkamp. Kind of dead spacey.
What?
There we go. Should watch that. Axel's Abode. If Rebirth makes 500 million in US, it would make Scarlett Johansson the top leading star at the US box office. Wow.
I mean, yeah. It's gonna make shit.
It might. Yeah, it probably will make that. Bogdan Anichescu. If you're entrusted with the trapped entity, where would you hide it so that nobody will ever get it, even after you die?
Surely you just break it.
I mean, yeah, but say you can't, you have to hide it somewhere.
Well, put it.
I'm gonna hide it in Rachel Zegler's file at her agent's office. There's probably no chance that's going to get opened anytime soon. So,
gives you the classic: put it in a chest, wrap it in chains, put that in a chest, wrap that in chains, put it at the bottom of the ocean. I don't know. Get some guy to guard it.
Yeah,
convince him that an ancient god would be released.
Get fucking Aquaman to guard it. Case the Ace. Can you guys give a shout out to my buddy Joe? He's a huge fan of you all, and he's about to have his first child. He actually is going to be a dad. Okay, well done, Joe. I hope it's everything you imagined it to be. So congratulations, my friend.
Congrats.
Look forward to those sleepless nights. Unmasked Opinionist says, hey, Drinker Mauler and whole panel. I want to ask what sequence of the finale did you hate the most? The boat sequence or the 1-shot 3-kill sequence?
It's funny. 3 kills.
Explain the boat sequence to me again, because that made no fucking sense when I was watching it.
How inconvenient, because it's the one time that I looked away and she went from being on a boat to being kidnapped to being back on a boat, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore.
But the thing is, I watched it all the way through and I don't understand what happened.
Well, looks like we're screwed.
So yeah, I'm going to hate that. Dr. Spaceman, Mark, any chance Kick-Ass will be in Doomsday if they're bringing back that era of superheroes? That movie's right up there with Raimi Spider-Man and Nolan Batman for me. I'd like to see that. My Tigger says, I have been consistently disappointed by recent media, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Star Wars, to the extent I will fight the uphill battle of starting my own sci-fi graphic novel series from zero. Thanks for inspiring me. Good luck, my friend. Shaker Silver, if the previous attempts were trying to make it cool, modern, and failed, how could it be said that an earnest shot at the Fantastic Four is outdated? I don't know. If it is earnest, then sure, go for it. I think
I have no expectation there's any trouble with delivering a Fantastic Four that would be popular. I think that was discussed on the panel that like they're old guard sort of thing and they're not going to hit with audiences anymore. I disagree, and the counterexample at first could be Incredibles, but I think even the 2000s movie, as was mentioned, it did okay. It actually made money. So what are we saying? Like the 2020s are where Fantastic Four can't work? It's like, no, if it fails, it's going to be because it's bad.
I think as well, like the Fantastic Four as characters are fairly generic superheroes. I mean, like they're almost like the quintessential superhero team, aren't they? Like this guy can stretch, this girl can go invisible, this guy can turn into fire. Sure. And it's just like the most sort of basic, simplistic way of doing superheroes. And I think this is a rough time for that to try and come out, like something as classic and old-fashioned as that. There is ways to do it, obviously. Like any idea can be made relevant and new and interesting in the right hands. I'm just not convinced that these are
I'm advocating that that's precisely what Superman needs to be, and it's probably not going to be, which is why it's going to potentially fail. Like if they just rock solidly focused on making a very classic story. It's funny. Do you remember Avengers where Cap is coming into the picture and he's like, I don't know if I'm right for the
Yes.
job here.
Yeah.
And then Coulson says, I think we could use a bit of old fashioned. Like that's how I feel about this era. So, Fantastic Four is like you can write any kind of basic conflict and then resolution and teamwork and family themes. Like I think it'd be fine.
We'll see, I
It
guess.
just has to be good, which it won't be.
Jordan Gallant. Pedro. Us guys might be fed up with him, but if my wife is a gauge of married women, Pedro is very popular. The sluttiest thing a man can do is to be Pedro. I mean,
Okay.
I guess, like, I'm not a woman, so I don't really understand the attraction, but, like, yeah, go Pedro, I suppose. M. Poe says, does anyone believe that movies are bad on purpose? No, I just think it's incompetence.
Presumably, they all want their films to be good because they make more money. So.
Yeah. It's like when people have argued with me, like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy intentionally destroyed Star Wars. Like, no, she didn't. She would much rather, like, her version of Star Wars was 10 times more successful than George Lucas's version. Then everyone would give her all the praise. It's just like she didn't have the, the skill or the vision to make it happen.
There are some things that happen sometimes that it just feels almost impossible to explain it with incompetence, as opposed to like, wow, you must have recognized this was just going to destroy everything. But
Joker 2 is probably the prime example of that. Like that movie was just made with pure malice. Yeah, that one. What's this one? John Doe. What makes Superman Superman is he always does the right thing even when the right thing seems impossible. The problem is that modern writers don't know the difference between right and wrong. You sure? I mean, yeah. Arm514 says the first Fantastic Four worked. They messed up the story they kept messing up the story and villain. They fucked up Doom in the first film and then flopped the franchise with the Silver Surfer. Yeah, that Silver Surfer was not popular. I think Galactus being a giant space fart as well didn't really help.
Nope.
Sam Wallace. Fantastic Four could be great if toned and paced like National Treasure. Someone kooky and entertaining like Nick Cage as Reed landing three mates on a race to a cosmic MacGuffin. Not unwritable at all.
Agreed.
It could be fun. John Doe. At this point, they should just reveal Stark as a Skrull after Stark died and just gone into Secret Invasion because we were still right here at Downey Jr. is back. I mean, it would feel pretty cheap, but that's the MCU at this point. Vampire from Pluto says, is there anyone from the DCEU you'd like to see brought into the DCU in different roles, like with Momoa? Any directors? Personally, I think it'd be interesting to bring back Henry Cavill, but as Batman. Well, that'd be crazy, actually. I mean, fuck. What would we do with this? Because you had good actors in Cavill and Affleck, but what other roles could they potentially fit into? I wouldn't bring Gal Gadot back.
No, and there's not really any directors I'm looking to bring back either.
No Zack Snyder?
No, unfortunately, I think we're good on that one.
What's Patty Jenkins up to these days?
Why? I mean, has her credibility not been completely shot by Wonder Woman 84?
All right, Land Far Away says, Mauler and Drinker, is there any value in movie criticism based on interpretation? I often hear critics evaluate films through their own readings. For example, Aliens is an allegory for the Vietnam War. The xenomorphs represent the Vietnamese. Therefore, the movie is racist and should go. No, there's no value in that interpretation.
I love a crazy allegory interpretation, wacky theory, like, for example, Snowpiercer is the prequel to Willy Wonka, I think is a video where the connections are like hilarious in terms of how you can draw those films together. That sort of stuff, love to indulge in it. However, if you were like, well, what do you think of it as like a serious breakdown? I'd be like, you're going to need the references to be really on point. And, I'd appreciate, not that this is required, but I'd appreciate some meta stuff about what the writers and directors have talked about in terms of intention. You don't have to do that. I just, I find it more compelling, of course. And then, I like it, but I want it, if we're taking it seriously, it's like, you best bring your best arguments instead of just saying shit like Aliens is racist or anything.
But say that was even a rock solid thesis. Like, okay, we've proven definitively that this was an allegory for the Vietnam War, and like you're portraying Vietnamese people by extension as horrifying aliens that should be exterminated. And that means the movie no longer works. It's just a horrific film and it needs to be eradicated, right? Does that automatically make the film bad then? Or would you be able to like take the film on its own merits and say, no, this is a really fucking fun sci-fi action movie with some horror elements?
I don't know that I could agree with every step there. Like if they said it was, because I would be curious if they said, yes, it is supposed to be the Vietnam War. And I'd be like, what were you trying to achieve? Like we're borderline at the point where I would start going death of the author. Because I would just be like, listen, you're insane if you want to portray Vietnamese people as just an alien bug hive that needs to be eradicated. That's like, what do you? I would need more than that to be able to place it on the film with like a meaningful connection. Like I would almost argue that makes it so that it's incompatible. That doesn't make sense. So you're just an insane director. This reminds me of like there have been plenty of statements made by the creatives in the past that I've just been like, yeah, that's great that you think that about your own work that you created, but I don't think that, and I don't even think it's present. I think you fucked up. So that, that's fine with me.
The Rad Dad Realtor says, "Hail panel, what did you think of Gone in 60 Seconds? Cage's kookiness actually worked for that movie." I mean, it's funny you pick that as like an example of Nick Cage being kooky because he's like 100% not in that film. He's like in
he's
stoic
in
Cage modes. Yeah. I really like Gone in 60 Seconds though. I think it's a really fun movie. I like the chase sequences. I kind of like the camaraderie amongst the group. Yeah, it's a fun film.
I also like it.
Issue. Yeah, I think it's a shame they never got a sequel to it, actually. Anonitax says, did you guys see Blood of Zeus, a modern take on Greek mythos, could do well in the fantasy movie genre?
No, I did not.
Is that the one that's... Oh, fuck it, no, I'm just total speculating there. David Summer, filmmaker, says, Neil Druckmann destroyed the Last of Us franchise in 2 mediums now. Yeah, that's quite the achievement.
Look at him go.
Yeah. And is AI going to overtake most film production? At the rate it's going, probably yes, which is terrifying. I don't like that. Chris says, Gary and Mark, don't you agree that after Infinity War and Endgame that Marvel should have started to build up towards Annihilation Wave? I mean, wasn't that a consequence of the snap? I would just rather like they had a plan and they were building up to something and stuck with it.
They didn't do consequences of the snap. That's not a thing they want to do.
Yeah. Health Minister of Belgium says the only way I'll watch Last of Us Season 3 is if they'd cast me as a bloater or Ellie's new love interest. I mean, would you want to be involved in that, though? Really? Sam Wallace says, hard disagree with H on tariffs. The answer is to give tax breaks to local filming, not punish people for going abroad. Tariffs will only drive up budgets, ticket prices, and shitty green screen. It depends what... like. As far as I understand, the tariffs are there as a threat rather than actually a plan to be implemented. It's to try and get a better deal for film production in California and places like that. Whether it'll work, I don't know, but that's my understanding of it. Senior Bones says, if July makes or breaks superhero movies, I'm purposefully staying home. I'm 1,000% done with the genre. By the way, ask Mr. H about his stolen car. I expect H to move to Texas when his second car gets stolen. Oh, shit. Did he get a car stolen?
Damn.
That is bad shit right there. Andrew Fay. Hollywood rose from bold storytellers defying Edison's grip. History beckons. Now, creators, seek true talent, craft your masterpiece. Forget unions and award shows. Forge art with passion and purpose. Good advice. Ghost Army. I've been a diehard Marvel fan since the late 80s. Comic books and superhero movies were a huge passion of mine. In 2025, I find the MCU repulsive.
Oh my.
That is, don't mince your words there. Slick Pete Flash. Multiverses can be done properly with pathos. See Rick and Morty. Marvel just doesn't have any interest outside of money, and that's the way the news goes.
Yeah. I mean, we don't deny you can do it well. It's just they ain't.
Yep. Sele says Cavill cast as Sherlock should have been great. Why? Like Sherlock Holmes is supposed to be like not emaciated, but he's a slender guy. He's not a big physical powerhouse like Cavill is. And
I mean, you know, you can make it work though, right? Like you probably pull it off, maybe. Give him a chance.
well,
Shot.
I mean, I guess in theory, if he was written amazing, but then he doesn't do anything in the Enola Holmes movie. He's just there
Well,
in the
that's
background, looking impressed with her.
I'd say that's the reality of it. That's really quite surprising. It's just like, oh well, he did technically play Sherlock Holmes. Isn't it twice? Isn't it two of those or something?
There apparently is two of them. Yeah, I can only stomach the first one.
Well, in any case, it's just another example of he gets a shot at something. It's just not what you think it is.
I find it quite fascinating, actually, watching Millie Bobby Brown's attempts to break away from being like 11 from Stranger Things, and wow, it is not working.
Well, it doesn't help that she's playing 11 still once per like 3 or 4 years. It's just going back,
No.
going back, going back.
It's a paycheck, Mauler. It's a paycheck.
That's true. Yeah. Well, and they take him forever to fucking complete that show. It's insane.
Yeah. Michael Bailey says Ohana means family. Family means dumping your sister into foster care so that you can go to college. Cheers to the bar.
Yep.
That's great. Deval says Cavill, Mission Impossible Fallout was his best role.
I mean, I really love him in it. He's awesome, and to the point where they should have realized what they had when they were making it, and kept him on for the end.
Yeah,
his fucking hatred of Ethan Hunt was perfect, and especially when you get that James Bond villain level scar, you know, at the end where he gets the oil sprayed on half his face. Like, come on, that's perfect.
Yeah. Fraser Crane says, on a meta level, seeing Abby going clubbing with Pedro Pascal was actually really fun to watch. Okay.
All right.
Jay Fraser, hail gents. I want to thank you, Drinker, Mauler, and the open bar chat for the kind words last week for my dear deceased friend, Kenny Stevenson. Rest in peace. Thank you, man. Screwball Sector says they should have cast Brock Lesnar's daughter, Maya. She's beefier than Game Abby, and they'd have two actresses that look like their dad instead of mum. God. I've seen the pictures of her. She is fucking terrifying. It's Brock Lesnar in a ponytail, basically.
Yeah.
McGarnagle says, I teach kids from the age of 13 to 17, and they are pumped for Superman because it's James Gunn. I know lots of normies who are going to give it a chance because it's Gunn despite DC's record. Well, I mean,
okay.
How about it?
Yeah.
Lord Kamina, I don't think the comic book industry can improve as long as people like Mark Waid, aka King Baby, hold power. Well, there you go.
All right.
MFL legend, Drinkster and Mauler. Hip surgery went great, and listening to the bar helped speed along my recovery. Lex is too wild for me, lol. Farscape is fun. Enjoy the Saturday morning vibe. What's the show where the lady says smells like shite? That is Chewing the Fat. It's a Scottish comedy sketch show. Yeah, it's finished up now, but it was around maybe 10 years ago. So yeah, look up Chewing the Fat, and then you'll find her. It's Karen Dunbar, I think. She's a really good, comedy actress here in Scotland. And I'm glad your hip surgery went well.
Yeah.
James Moore. Mind you, Ellie wants to save the kid Scar the day after a Scar just put an arrow through Dina's leg. The pregnant woman that she loves. Absolute nonsense. Pretty much. I love how fucking moralistic Ellie is as well. Which is like, oh, you just care about your community. Like I'm out here trying to help regular people. Like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're like an absolute monster. It's just, yeah, like to actually believe yourself to be morally superior to, what's his name? Jesse, yeah. Like a guy who has literally done nothing but the right thing throughout the whole show and always tried to help people in his group. And it's like, well, because he's not helping or not getting involved in a war that he knows nothing about, like that makes him a bad guy, does it? Sure, yeah. Default says, the show made Mel's death directly Owen's fault. He stood right next to a pregnant woman as he pulled the gun on someone who was holding him at gunpoint.
I saw that they apparently filmed the original game version of the interaction and how it goes. But they decided to change it. I'm not 100% clear on why. But whatever. Doesn't matter.
Because that, like, show is the worst timeline version of the game.
Yeah.
Alexander Lewis. My family genuinely liked The Last of Us, and it's put me in a pretty bad writing funk. Why should I keep up my efforts to produce good writing when this slop is acceptable to normies? I mean,
You know, still good stuff does get out there.
and people have turned against it, you know. Maybe not in enough numbers to completely ruin it, but like they've lost 50% of their audience from the season 1 finale.
They did, yeah. It has an effect.
Yeah. Eyes to the skies. On the Marvel front, I think something that's too often forgotten is the first phases were individual genre movies, Shakespearean, World War II era, spy thriller, etc. Now the genre is just sludge across the lot. It is slop content, that's for sure. Bass player says they didn't split it because it's that damn good. They split it because it's that damn long. I guess that's Last of Us Part 2. OMG Puppies. It seems like there used to be gay characters without making a show cringe and woke. Skins from 2007 was good. My Beautiful Laundrette was good, but the American remake of Skins was unwatchable. Yeah.
As is the case with a lot of American remakes.
Kazra says, greetings, drinker and panel. What do you think about the F1 movie? I think it's dark horse of summer and potentially could go toe-to-toe with the big three in July. No, it won't. It might turn out to be a good film, but it's not going to have that level of appeal. And I'm still not really convinced about how you're going to have a 60-year-old F1 driver.
Yeah.
But sure, I'll give it a go. Jay Fraser, Mr. H reviews for FNT's Predator Badlands review. I'm sure they can get him on for that.
Yeah.
Rebecca Gold says, good show, lads. Thank you. Gaia Raya says, for Mublashi, aren't you excited to watch Abby's dad rescue a zebra? Aren't
Oh my
you
God.
more?
I will. That will be something I need to see because it's just such a fucking funny scene. Look how nice he is. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, so nice.
He doesn't deserve to die.
It would be so mean if he died.
Paul Stramby, hello, drinker. I was unable to join your channel as a member on my phone. I used my computer to join Fellowship of the Drink. Thank you. Mawba's channel works by iPhone, so there could be a settings issue. Oh, that's weird. I didn't think you could specify like the method that people can join by, but
I don't remember doing that, but yeah, fair enough.
Thank you for joining anyway. Default. I liked how The Last of Us realized they were in danger of having a somewhat likable character on their show in Jesse and made sure to kill him off. Yeah. And it's fun,
Yeah,
just
like
when
I
he's
said,
starting to
the-
assert himself. It's like, yeah, that's my kid, and I'm getting him the fuck out of here. Dead.
First scene that I liked some of the stuff he said, and then I was like, but he's gonna get shot in the fucking head. That's how this goes. So yay.
Yeah. David's such a. In fact, yeah, it's such a fucking cowardly way out of that whole thing. Like, obviously, this came from the game, where it's like you've created an essentially unsolvable problem, where this guy has a genuine moral claim to being the father of that child, and it would create real problems for Ellie and Dina. What do? Just kill him.
Just kill him.
Why deal with that like complex entanglement when you don't
Well,
have to?
drinker, the people who love the game would tell you, but don't you see that is the consequence of Ellie's decisions? He was a good man, and he died as a result of Ellie's obsession with getting revenge. You see, revenge bad. That's the whole point.
Best game ever made, more.
Fuck yeah, dude.
David Summer says, at least we still have Fallout Season 2. I can tell you're excited, more.
It's gonna happen again, isn't it? The whole this one's actually good, mutually. You should watch it.
Fiesta Cat says, I for one am looking forward to Disparu's reviews. Sure. He'll go in hard on it, I'm sure. Marine Lad says Harry Potter series, Gen Z's Lord of the Rings, second to Lord of the Rings itself. I mean, it seems to be, that's how they treat it. Louis G says, I made a comment in Reddit about a mudblood in the picture and got banned from the Harry Potter. Sorry, yeah, the HBO section. This will be another show that blames the fans. They are going to be super fucking, touchy about all that stuff. Cupcakes Corner says, Last Action Hero was the greatest soundtrack ever. That is false. The greatest soundtrack ever to a movie is Judgment Night. Okay.
All right.
Jeremy Soden. Ennio Morricone's film music is right up there. That is true. OMG Puppies, not something one sits and listens to, but the electronic soundtrack of Forbidden Planet creatively brought the distinction between sound effects and music. I mean, that was, I remember that one being really weird and disjointed, and it fit with the tone of it pretty well. I always loved the soundtrack for Blade Runner. That is just gorgeous to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
James
Vangelis,
Waters.
right?
Yes. Yeah, they were everywhere in the 80s. It's just, it fit with 80s vibes. Just, it was perfect. James Waters, TV recommendation, Dark on Netflix is an immensely well-written, complex time travel show. It'd be cool to hear some of your opinions on it one day. You've seen a bit of it, haven't you?
I watched 2 seasons, and I've said before I couldn't keep up with it. I got too confused, I'm afraid. But from what I gathered, it was very, very good. I just I got lost. We get a lot of what I remember, and I don't mean to not sell the show to you. I think you should definitely check it out because it could be something you end up loving. But there's like a community, and then there's some weird people doing some weird things, and you find out it's probably because they're from the future / the past, and they're trying to make difference in timeline. And then there's like a hole in a forest that if you go through it and come out, there's 2 options. One takes you to the past, one takes you to the future. I think 30 years. And so you need to track all of the characters, who's going where, and then you start making connections with these older characters in different timelines. You're like, oh shit, that's that person because they did all, and lots of satisfying conclusions. But genuinely, I did give it a really good shot, but I was like, oh fuck, I don't remember who that is, and I'm like confused as to which place they came from, and but all I hear is that it has really, really good payoffs that relate to time travel. So I did give it a shot. It just didn't quite work out for me. Maybe if I was to give it another shot another time, it could.
Yeah. Dr. Pelican says, Mauer, I'm 21 and I saw the OG Lilo and Stitch for the first time because of EFAP mentioning it positively. Thank you to the other lads for such a great recommendation. It was absolutely beautiful.
I mean, if you like your animated films with really strong message about the nature of family, has a good heart and quite funny and wholesome and good for the family, by the way, Lilo and Stitch is excellent candidate.
John Doe says, one of the problems of Lilo and Stitch is they changed the Cobra bubbles because in modern Disney, a man, even a minority man, can't tell a woman to get her shit together.
Cobra Bubbles is fucking amazing in the original, and they destroyed him. Ugh. I don't want to get started on it, okay? Too much trauma.
Yeah. Sam Wallace. On the finale, I'm disappointed with Last of Us. Liked early tweaks, male cast upgraded, but Seattle was totally fumbled, but also disappointed with the discourse. Quality points, subjective taste, and ad hominem insults got very muddled. The Atlas Complex. Idea. Uncle Tommy pretends to be Joel to save him. Abby kills Tommy. Joel and Ellie's travel to Seattle while repairing the relationship. Thoughts? Yeah, I think I'm sure we speculated on this like way back when the game first came out, about all the different ways you could reorder the scenarios and stuff, and that would be probably a better way of doing it. Yeah.
The more you broaden out their goals, the more you start to realize, like, oh man, you could have had a really good story here that still achieves a lot of what they're going for, but nah, fuck that, right? No chance.
Yeah. Kevin O'Neill, the best written, Kriya from Knights of the Old Republic 2, best acted, Raphael from BG3. What is BG3 again?
Baldur's Gate 3?
Could be, yeah. Daval says, you exist because we allow it, and you will end because we demand it. I am the vanguard of your destruction. Sovereign in the Mass Effect games was iconic. Sounds pretty good. OMG Puppies, good British shows with lame American remakes. Skins, In-Betweeners, Utopia. The British version of Utopia is on Amazon, but heavily redacted. Why redacted?
Don't know.
I remember watching it. It was really good, but there was nothing in there that was like super sensitive or like controversial or anything. That's weird. Last up is Paul Connolly, who says, Hail panel, speaking of Mr. H's appreciation for Sydney Sweeney, I saw one of the illustrations for the female Silver Surfer, and I think Marvel wasted a great opportunity to cast her in the role. Yeah. Just, get her naked, spray paint her silver, and you're good to go. I think she would be up for it as well.
I do not disagree.
Anyway, that right there was the last of the super chats. So, as always, I want to thank you guys for sending us so many and being super generous as you always are. And we've done our best to answer them tonight. But That right there is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.